Well, I've got a story to tell that it's almost like I should just give up and not try to tell it because it was I can't recreate it. I'm going to leave a record of it anyway. At the Spring Dam Brewery, as planned, I went there. I had chairs ready. The weather I thought was going to be give me mercy. It didn't really, because of the wind. Uh, as I've told you before, I had planned an event of singing, a sing along of Christmas carols, traditional ones, and six Messiah choruses. That was my plan. And I had everything ready for it. I'd announced every place that I could really think of to do so. The bartender or the owner, the brewer, had asked me, "How many people do you think will come?" And I said, "Somewhere between 5 and 100." I had no idea who would come. But the weather was brutal because of the wind. I think it might have been 22 degrees outside. That doesn't seem right. It was probably more like 32. I think it was more like 32. But the wind was coming right down the hill at us, right between the buildings. But I said, well, I said I'd do it, so I'll go ahead. I'm taking too long telling this story. Anyway, by with a with about 5 minutes to go, I went out there, and no one had come. Really, the only ones that had come that far was my sister, her severely handicapped husband with Parkinson's disease in a wheelchair, both bundled up, and my sister's daughter, my niece. Uh, and loyally, there they were. And there was a couple there that came, bundled up, all bundled up. And I spoke to them, and they said, "Boy, this is brutal out here." And when they said that word brutal, I thought, "That's it. We're going inside." And I went in and checked with the brewer and said, "Yeah, come on in." Well, anyway, the event was inside. Well, still, 2 o'clock was approaching. It was about 1:45, I think, and there was nobody new there. There were. Then a couple came, two women came in that nobody recognized, and I think one of the barmaids said to them, or somebody said, is this your first time here at the place, at our place?" And I think they said, "Yeah." And I figured, aha, that's somebody who's come to sing. I was wrong. They came in, and at first I didn't pay that much attention, but they were going looking for a table, and by this time I had laid some scores to Messiah and some songbooks on one of the small tables. And the younger of the two women, I'm guessing she's about retirement age. It's really hard to guess. She paused when she went by, and she looked down at that, and she said, "Are we interrupting something?" And I went over there, and I said, "No, not by any means. We're gonna sing some carols and try to sing some choruses for Messiah, and and anyone's welcome." Well, again, this is a story I can't really tell it all. It would take way too long. She and I started talking at the bar. Oh, and the older woman, of the two, she was dressed to the nines. I think that's the expression of it. She was dressed like she was going to I don't know, a formal concert or something, all in white. Turned out she's 87 years old, and both of them were going to support their relative, a college student, 20 years old, Connor, who was studying conducting as his career at the Ball State University in Indiana. 20 years old. I think he's a junior. And they were on their. He was going over to Johnstown as a guest conductor in Johnstown. There was a Messiah that I didn't know about. I mean, Messiah's all over the place now, and he had also just conducted the one in Bedford that was the second one in Bedford town, and he'd guest conducted that, and it went on and on. I mean, Connor, whom I have not spoken to yet, but I'm certainly going to be talking to him, or messaging him or something, certainly, because of more that I can tell you. But they were on their way to Johnstown. Now that's about, I'm guessing, 30 miles, maybe more, from Roaring Spring, and up over a mountain and down, but to support their nephew, great nephew, I don't know. Anyway, that's where they were going, and but before long, the woman, the younger one, her name is Katrina. I found out eventually. She said, "You can remember because of the storm, the hurricane." Katrina, she ended up deciding this looked like more fun, and I'm sure it was. She asked me, "Well, what are you going to use for accompaniment?" I said, I've got a Casio out there, the battery-operated Casio. That's all I could come up with. But we could do it a cappella. I mean, which is true if I had had singers. But I didn't have singers. It was becoming more and more apparent that 5 was a closer number, certainly. I'd say in that whole event that evening, there might have been 20 people, counting those that came and went, although almost nobody went. But of them, my sister and my niece, they were singers, but they wouldn't call themselves singers. There was a friend, a bartender there that was off duty, but he came anyway because he was curious about what this was going to be like. And he's a singer. I mean, he's a professional. He's a folk singer. But he wasn't so much in the mood to sing as to talk at the bar with some friends and stuff. Well, it turned out that Katrina is an accompanist. She said that, or pianist maybe she said, and I said, "Oh, don't go away. Can you stay here for a little while?" And she said, "Yeah, I can stay. This sounds like fun." And anyway, she stayed she made the event actually. See, I can't really tell the story. In 10 minutes or so that we had to talk before I was determined. Well, I was going to start at 2, no matter what. If no one was there, I'd just stand in the corner and sing. I don't know. But in the course of those 10 minutes, we were able to figure out all kinds of connections between the two of us. She's a teacher in Northern Bedford High School, or I think she may be just retired, maybe, I don't know. And we knew various people largely through Messiah. But she had no idea that any of this stuff was going on at the brewery. They just decided to stop by the brewery on their way to Johnstown to go to this concert. And they came in and ended up not only staying, making the show. Well, the singing was, as soon as the first carols, I thought I was going to be able to sing bass or something like that. Oh no, I was almost the only singer there. And so it ended up being me singing Christmas carols to her accompaniment, and a few people sort of trying a little bit, but they hadn't come to sing. It was they all had songbooks and stuff, and or they knew it and were singing along a little bit. But I didn't know. I was just singing. So we sang 2 verses of that and a couple more. And when we got to Messiah, the first chorus, I thought to myself, uh-oh, can we do this? And it became real apparent that we could not. You got to have the 4 parts covered. I only had 1 part covered, and it just was not going to work. So I said, no, I had the song list printed out with the Messiah courses. We're not going to do the Messiah courses. We can't. But we'll just sing the carols, except for the Hallelujah chorus. The last one. We'll do that because I thought, well, surely everybody can sing the Hallelujah chorus. I was wrong. When we got to the end, we switched places. I was at the Casio, and Katrina conducted. Uh, I just can't capture this. And I couldn't play the Casio very well at all, and there was no one that was singing. So after about the first half of a page, we stopped and said, no, we can't do this one either, which amazed me. I mean, it was really a group of people who were not singers. And then we went back and sang the last two more. I don't know, one real well-known one, and Hark, I don't know, it's Hark the Herald Angels Sing maybe, and then we Wish You a Merry Christmas at the end, and that was the end of the singing, which all went on for probably about an hour, but that doesn't capture it. After we sang a little bit, I wanted people to drink some beer and stuff to make it worth the brewers' time to let us be there. And I'd hoped I'd bring him a whole big new group of people. That did not happen. But so we stopped, and Katrina said, "Oh yeah, let's drink." And she started to go around from table to table, talking to people, and drinking. I mean, it became her show. Well, no, that's not true. We were doing it as a team, but it was almost as if we'd been doing it all our lives, working crowds like this. I was the straight man trying to be, and Katrina had all the skills. She was a good pianist. First time she ever tried to play a little Casio, but she was good, and she just made sure everybody that seemed at the least bit approachable, that she spoke to them and went by and say hi, and then I'd get them singing again, and we'd sing more. She stole the show. And it wasn't stealing. She made the show. I mean, it was just delightful. And by the end, toward the end, when people at a certain point started pulling out their cell phones and filming what was going on, including the owner, the brewer's girlfriend, Anita, she was out there holding her camera and filming this event, because people, I'd say everybody there realized this was a most unusual event, what was going on here, and they wanted to make a record of it. And then again, toward the end, Katrina was going around getting pictures with herself and the guests that were there for the record, and including with my sister and niece and Jeffrey, the handicapped. Severely handicapped, my brother-in-law, and she just brought joy to everybody that was there. Now, I think I might have told you she's a retired teacher. Maybe that's part of it. She worked with high school seniors, placing them in jobs. That was her work. Or it's just a natural. And she was from Morrison's Cove, a little tiny village right over the mountain called Salemville. I found out that Connor, her nephew, had started a summer choral society in Morrison's Cove, and he seems to already have a stunning record built up already as a junior in college. It seems to me. I don't know, but I got to stop somewhere. But I guess one other thing I'll say is that where did they come from? How could that have happened, that they would have shown up at exactly the time that the opportunity was greatest? And there's many a Christian would say they were sent by God. That was a gift of God right there. She was an angel that was sent to rescue me. And I don't look at it exactly that way, but you really have to wonder about how a coincidence like that could happen, such a happy coincidence. By the end, virtually everybody there was doing some singing and doing enough drinking that it was worth a while. All right, I have to stop somewhere. But you're going to hear more about Katrina, I'm sure, and especially her nephew, Connor. I don't know his last name. Katrina's name is Katrina King Gensch, and we're going to be in touch. Bye for now.